Hi, I'm Mimika Cooney and welcome to Mimika TV, the place to build a brilliant business. Today we are talking about website design visibility hacks. Anthony Tran is the president and founder of Marketing Access Pass, a full-service digital marketing agency. He specializes in creating professional WordPress websites that generate leads for entrepreneurs, podcasters, and small business owners. Anthony is also a marketing coach and podcaster helping solopreneurs take their business to the next level. So welcome, Anthony. Welcome to Mimika TV.
Dude, this is so cool. Hey, Mimika, how's it going?
So glad to have you here. So we kind of reciprocating. You see, a couple of months ago, I was on Anthony's podcast, and now we are giving him his first taste of Blab. So yay! Everybody give you props. So you see the little button at the bottom, all the little bubbles? We call those props, which is kind of
like all these bubbles. You guys are so
almost like hearts, right? Like on Periscope. So people can then interact. So we really have people who've joined us. We've got HSD, I'm not sure what your first name is, but welcome. DJ, come back. That's a cool name. Abdul's also here. So yeah, people will definitely can pop in and out, but hopefully they'll stay to the end, because here on Mimika TV, what's different about our show is that our guests donate to our goodie giveaway, which means some lucky viewer who stays on to the end to hear the content, because this is how you get to win, is if you stay on and listen to what I have to say, I'm going to ask a question. Now, the first person who has the quickest typing figures in the comment section will get to claim the prize. So it's very fair, but you've got to be in it to win it. So stay tuned. We've got some great juicy tips we're going to go over today. So give us a little bit of a backstory for those who don't know the Anthony Tran. Give us a little bit of background, because we know you do web design and we'll get into that. But tell us what you primarily come from, what background.
Whoa, geez, I don't know how far you want to go back, because my
okay, not your second grade teacher, but like, what kind of led you where you are right now?
Okay, so just a quick rundown. So I was in the Air Force, and then I got out and I joined the corporate world, and I was working in automotive operations management for 6 years, and I was working long weekends, weeks, nights, holidays, 60-hour weeks. I was pretty much, spending a lot of time at work. So I had to figure out a way to be able to give myself some more freedom and flexibility and work from home. So that's the very short story, and here we are today. So there you go.
So you've taken everything that you've known and everything that you've learned, and you've kind of brought it back here. Now, one thing I must mention is that I know you did really well, and this is the last time we were in contact, is you put together a really awesome summit. I'm sure there was like a ton of work, right?
Yes, that was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. I got to talk and interview a lot of amazing speakers, and you mentioned a giveaway, and I don't know if can I talk about it now?
Yes, sure. Go ahead, tell people. Let's get them all excited.
If you guys stick around to the end, I'm going to give away one person free VIP pass. It's to the Traffic Generation All-Stars Summit event that I hosted. You can get lifetime access to it now. There's like over 24 interviews, and it's worth over $197. And there's also other bonuses like ebooks and WordPress books and SEOs and special presentations. So anyways, lots of good stuff. If you guys want to learn about it, check out trafficgenerationallstars.com. But anyway, stick towards the end, because I'm going to give away a free VIP pass to someone here.
Exactly. So that's why it's so pay attention here. And hopefully I know we've got more people joining us as they be joining the call. And so we'll be getting right into some great tips. Now, I know when you sent me your bio, I was like, ooh, what can we talk about? Because you've got so much we could cover. But one thing I know for a lot of sort of coaches and speakers and authors and podcasters is that our website is super important. But like anything else, it's a lot of noise out there. How do we compete, and how do we put it out there and stand out amongst the rest? So let's dive in and give our audience some really juicy tips. Now, you are the WordPress guru, which is awesome, because I have a WordPress site too. And what would you say to start off with? What are the things that, elemental things that you think that people need with their site?
Well, I actually wrote like a list of 5 things that I thought people could definitely use and implement today with, some specific resources to help them get started. So I'm just going to talk about overview of 5, and you can dive into any of those depending on how much time we have. But one is called the F factor. Mm-hmm. The other one is above the fold content, how to speed up your website, how to create graphics on your website so they are eye-catching, and also color coding. You can talk about logos and landing pages. So
awesome.
How much do you want to get into?
Exactly. Because for for most of us, and I don't know if you'd agree, like I manage my own website and it is WordPress. And the reason why I love WordPress is that there are so many plugins and things that you can add that really work on the back end that I think in terms of if you want total customizability with your website, it definitely is the way to go. So let's start with the basics of, okay, what makes a good website design? Because we've seen so many different versions and we've seen templates. What would you say for someone who really wants to get someone's attention? What's a good base to start?
Okay, so the first basis is you want to make sure that your website looks really good on the homepage and it's above the fold. So you only have 3 seconds to make a really good impression. Otherwise, some people will, leave your site if it's not clear about what you do, how you do it, and who you serve. So really good websites, a lot of times now you'll see is right when they come in, you'll see like a nice big banner or header picture with some clear words like, this is what we do. And then if you're in the right place, click here type of deal. Mm-hmm. And so, that's the kind of basis, right? But there's to kind of get you in more detail, you have to think about the F factor. And I talked about the F factor. There's actually studies about this. There's you can use heat map tracking tools that actually track people's eyes and where they read the website and how they look. So if you think of the letter F, people read from top to bottom and they read from left to right. Mm. So most important content that you create on your website, you should have on the very top and you should have it to the left. So this goes to your navigation pages. So most people will click from left to right. So if your most important information is, let's say, a podcast, put that as one of your first links. If you want people to read about your about page, put that in your first top links. A lot of people will start with like start here or go here type of deal. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to track this analytics, you could use tools like Google Analytics. You could use Crazy Egg.
SumoMe is great. I did a heat map test on mine too. SumoMe is a plugin. It monitors. It literally does look like a map. It's like awesome. You can see what people click on, and what I find is people click on your About Me page the most, which is like that's going to be a whole other topic.
Yeah, what's cool about SumoMe, since you just talked about it, that's a cool plugin. And you can use, it's a free plugin, but there's some premium features. But even with the free version, you can do, opt-in sliders. You could have like what they call a welcome mat.
I love that.
Welcome mat is like when someone comes to your page, it'll have this full screen that slides down and it'll say your headline and you can have like an opt-in form. So some of you who are looking to build your email list and you're like, hey, I don't know how to code an opt-in form. I want it there. SumoMe gives you that nice welcome mat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned something earlier, which I think we need to pick up on. You just said good design starts with stuff that's above the fold. So just explain to people why that's important, because there's, depending on whether you're looking at something on mobile or on your website, there is an important design element there.
Yeah. So above the fold means it's just like a simple terminology that says that you don't have to scroll down to see the content. So whatever you see right when you land on a page, that whatever is within your window of screen, that's called above the fold. So one of the things I like to implement on the web design is if I can tell a story and give us much information without putting too much clutter right there above the fold, it's good. So if you want to put like your opt-in form, like I said, what exactly do you do? Put like where you've been featured, if you've been featured on publications or interviewed on podcasts, put all of those logos where you've been featured right up there towards the top so people can automatically see, okay, this is what this is what you do. This is, where you've been featured. And here's a quick call to action. Subscribe to my email list. Those are some, really good practices that you can implement.
So kind of like, because I've heard this debate in a lot of, Facebook groups, and they had this discussion with several people before about whether you should force an opt-in, which basically means you can't go past begin without giving your email address. And what is your thoughts on that? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
You got to make your offer available right away and just, let people know that this is something that you would like them to do. Now, you don't have to be like super aggressive about it where you say, here's a pop-up and then like you can't click anywhere else except for opt-in. I mean, I don't know. I feel that's kind of aggressive, right? But at least like even like with SumoMe, there's a welcome mat. It'll say like, no, thank you. And you can click and then get access to the rest of the information, right?
Yeah, so definitely, at the end of the day, like if you are in online business, emails and getting people's emails is super important so you can continue the conversation. So I'm definitely a proponent for landing pages. So what would you say makes a good design? Like, let's talk about the graphics side and why that's important.
Oh, right. Let's talk about graphics. Okay, so obviously visually people want to come to a nice clean looking site that looks good and that is eye-catching, right? But you're probably wondering, okay, what kind of cool tools do you use, Anthony? So I'm going to share one that I just absolutely love. It's called Canva. Go to Canva.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so Canva is cool because it's like if you're not good with Photoshop or you're not a professional graphic designer, you can still make really good graphics, and it's a free platform, which is awesome. And they have like some graphics that are like, backgrounds and stuff that may cost like $1. So it's super affordable, but it gives you everything that you need. So it's like drag and drop editor. You can pick backgrounds, you can pick icons and change your font and text and color, and you can move pictures in. So if you remember my Traffic Generation All-Stars, I created all of my graphics using Canva. Which is awesome, right? And you can create like ebooks and infographics and sidebar ads.
I mean, most people don't know the functionality and how much you can actually do. You can do like a whole ebook, like simply on Canva, and it's for free. That's what's even better. There is a paid version now, but I haven't really found the need for it. I think it's more like because you can edit the sizes and change designs once you've made them. But for someone who's starting and for just accessibility, I just think it's awesome. Just you can go and create it and the pre-sized custom dimensions, that's also awesome too?
Yes, so they do. You can customize the dimensions of the size. You can do color filters. So if you're really into like Pinterest or Instagram, that kind of stuff, you can really change that up. Another cool tool is like my e-cover maker. So some people are like, hey, I want to build my email list. I want people to subscribe. I got this really cool ebook, but I don't know how to make this ebook cover. So you can go to like myecovermaker.com, and I think it's like $5 to create an ebook, or you can subscribe, and per month is like $15, and you can make as many 3D covers, they call it. So you can make like, have you seen those 3D graphics that are like your laptop or your mobile phone?
Yes.
Right? Or like your DVD cover, all of those type of 3D stuff like that. My e-cover maker, you can make with that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a new tool, new gadget I need to try. I like it. So what would you say is the next step? So we know we need to have a clean look. We need to have a very obvious what we do. And for a lot of us, we would call that a landing page. So before you even take them to your blog page, where there's too much content, they don't know what they're looking at, often just starting with a landing page. What would you say is the next most important page to have on your website?
Well, you mentioned a landing page, so if someone's not familiar with the landing pages, or if you want to know how to make one, landing page is basically a page that a lot of time people land on, whether you run a Facebook ad or you have a link on your social media or something, and you want people just to like opt into something. So to subscribe to your ebook, subscribe to a webinar, all that kinds of stuff. So some really cool tools to create landing pages is like Instapage or Lead Pages. ClickFunnels is really good too. So I've used all three of them, and I like them all for various different reasons. They have templates. So if you're not a designer, you can say, hey, I got a template. I can drag and drop images. So that's really good. And
so I'm putting them in the so we said, where did my so we said ClickFunnels, Instapages. What was the other one?
Lead Pages.
Lead Pages. Oh, yes, of course. So Lead Pages, especially if you don't know design and you want all the coding done for you, you literally just, click. And the only thing I don't like about Lead Pages is it's expensive. It's like $47 a month, and you can't really customize it. But for someone who just needs in order to start getting your emails, that's awesome. Yeah. So we see here, Jerry asked, have you tried Relay? That's Craig Carpenter's one, is it, yes. Jerry?
Yep. I have tried Craig Carpenter's. He actually supported the summit as well. So Relay is awesome. It's like you basically create like a template of content, and then the system automatically sizes it to different like platforms. So for example, like the dimensions on graphics for like Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus, they're all different. You have to format. And so before, I used to have to create graphics for very specific platforms. With Relay, you're able to create like one piece of content, and it changes the dimensions and formats it to fit the right social media platform. So yeah.
Oh, that saves a lot of time. So yeah, it's Jerry put it in there, relaythat.com. Yeah. And Craig's really good with the support as well. There's a Facebook group. Yeah, $8 a month. You can't go wrong with that. So a lot of these tools are either free or cost you very little for you to be able to run your business.
Yeah.
Chad Tennant said Thrive Themes has a lot of amazing landing pages. My personal favorite is Optimize Press, just because I love the drag and drop feature and how easy that is. What is your favorites?
Optimize Press is really good. I've actually discovered a new one that I just absolutely love. It's called Beaver Builder. So at wpbeaverbuilder.com. It's a front-facing drag and drop editor, so you can design your site.
Sorry, WP Beaver?
Beaver Builder, yeah.
Beaver Builder, okay.
It's a front-facing WordPress editor. So instead of like going into your dashboard, making changes, and then refreshing your homepage and your screen to see your changes, you do all your edits live, and you can see everything as it moves. So it's really cool.
Oh, that's cool. So now let's talk about something I know that irritates me a lot is the security things. Like I know Jerry and I had this conversation offline the other day when we realized that there was somebody trying to hack my website, and we then had to install some plugin softwares, and that kind of stuff freaks me out. So what would you say is, what would your recommendations be to secure your website?
Well, I would definitely have a good hosting account. So like I use WP Engine, and I also use Flywheel, depending on the type of project I'm working on. But they have, security. They also have automated daily backups, which is great because I used to create sites on like HostGator, and then I would have to buy like Backup Buddy as a plugin, and then I would have to, buy a separate CDN. CDN's more for speed, but while we're on the topic, that's one of the two features I really like about those hosting is they do automatic backups every day. And then so if something crashes, like sometimes I used to upload plugins and they didn't work, and then I had to wipe them at that. And then I was like, oh no, what do I do? So now I just go back into like Flywheel or WP Engine and click Site Restore, and then boom, my site comes.
Oh, fabulous. Saves a lot of headaches, for sure. Julie says, plus the founder's a super cool dude, smart as a whip. Oh, gotta love that as well. Somebody who's on providing a really good, because then they're a smaller company and they're a little more pricey than some of the, the cheaper options out there, but you get what you pay for. So definitely, when you have when you have a security breach, you will pay anything to make that go away and to fix it. So yeah, a lot of lost downtime involved in that. So what would you say would be another tip for great website hacks?
Okay.
And then we said visibility, so we want to really get it out there. What would your next tip?
So a big component for like getting your website visible, and even it helps with search engine optimization, is website speed, right? So if your website is slow loading, people are not going to stick around to try to look at it, right? But it also helps with search engine optimization. And this is something that I can share with you that's really easy to do, that you can get your site to load fast. So a couple of things, right? You can test your website speed at tools.pingdom.com. And it's a free tool. You can test your website to see how fast it loads. But a lot of times what I found that slows down websites to load is the image files. So if you have like
file sizes are too big.
Yeah, if they're big, if they're like high definition graphics, that kind of stuff, a lot of times the file images are too big. So what you can do is you can go to another tool called tinypng.com, and that's another free tool. See how
awesome, like free.
tinypng.com, you can drag the image. So it's like if it's a JPEG or a PNG file, it will compress the image like I think like 80 or 90%. So if you have like a 1 megabit file, it'll compress it down to like 256 kilobytes. So
cool. But it doesn't. There's no loss of quality because of the PNG.
Yeah,
it's better quality, right? So you're not getting that pixelated look, which is not so fancy.
Right. It keeps the pixel resolution still really high, but it compresses the files to the point where your site's able to load quicker.
Okay, a good tool. Yeah, I need to do that. Ooh, I think that's one of our problems. So loading, and then of course, so we got tools. You said .pingdom, right? .com. I hope I got that right.
Tools.pingdom. Let me go ahead and type it in your box.
Okay. And then so we said speed, and
PNG. So let me type that in. Okay.
And a thing as well, maybe it's worth mentioning. It's not majorly serious, but is the cache factor, like how, understanding why that's important.
Yes. So cache is awesome because it's storing all your files, and then if you've been to a site before, it will kind of restore that file quickly. So the reason why I also mentioned like WP Engine, because WP Engine has their own built-in cache to help their websites load faster, right? So before I used to try to like add all these different plugins like WP Super Cache, and I can't remember the other cache plugins, but now with WP Engine, I take away, I don't have to have a cache plugin, I don't have to have a backup plugin, and then I have the other cool thing, which is a CDN, which is called Content Delivery Network. And I used to use a tool called like Max CDN, which I had to pay like a monthly subscription, and it was really hard to install. Mm-hmm. WP Engine and Flywheel also both have CDN, so for $10 a month, I just literally click a button and I have a CDN now. So that's why I love these, more premium hosting, because like you said, you really get what you pay for.
Exactly, and if you want to be able to be free of all that, and I know Julie's like laughing her socks off, probably because we had this conversation. I was like, well, I don't want to move, the pain of having to move my websites. But it's at that stage now where, especially now, my problem is, well, it's not a problem, it's a good problem. As I'm getting more users on my membership site and people are logging into my site more often, security is a huge issue. So let's talk about what's your next tip. So you said you have 5, right? How many have you covered?
Actually, I miscount. I do have more.
Yeah, well, we've got time, so let's start.
If we have time, I'll go into it. Let's see. Oh,
yeah, Patty's got a good question here. Patty Lee says, hi, Mika and Anthony. What about the importance of having a designated IP address for your site? Is a topic not talked about. We talking about basically like, say, mine is mimikacooney.com. Instead of like, do you mean, Patty, like hosted through a third party, like say with some websites on Weebly? I mean, domain names. Let's talk about that while that's important.
The domain?
Yeah, domains and the SEO with domains especially.
Yeah, so like domains, you can get domain names at like GoDaddy. You can get it at like Namecheap. And, domains can, before, I think SEO put more emphasis on like exact keyword domains. So people used to buy keywords like, I don't know, drycleaners.com, something like that. And it does have, it's one of the Google ranking factors, but it's not like as important as it was before, right? Mm-hmm. So, you can still get keyword very specific domains, but it won't be a make or break situation for you. So if you have a personal brand like mimikacooney.com, you can still get ranked on Google for other keywords. You don't have to worry about, being super specific.
Yeah. And we must mention another tool I love is SEO, or Yoast SEO.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the
Yoast is great because you can edit your meta description. So like whatever, when people are searching on Google and the search results show up and it shows the title of your blog post, let's say, the description and your link. And the tag like for your keywords. So all of that can be configured within the SEO Yoast plugin. And so you want to make sure you take the time to do that because number one, people read that when they're trying to figure out what type of content to read when they're finding on Google. So that improves your click-through rate. And so if your click-through rate goes up, and that's an indicator to Google, like, hey, this is the right type of content, that'll help boost your rankings. Mm. So you don't want to make sure your description is like, is blasé. You want to make sure that it's like, okay, it's a great headline, it's a great description. I really want to read this content and figure out what's going on here. Yeah. And the cool thing about SEO Yoast is it'll too, like, it will basically kind of do a calculation to see what your SEO score is. So like if you're using your keywords in your H tags, if you're using it in your title, if you're using it in your URL, if you're using how much you're using, if you're over optimizing it. There's a lot of on-page SEO indicators, and it'll take all of that into consideration and give you like a green light, so to speak, if you're doing good with your website SEO.
And I love how visual it is, and I think they recently updated this week, actually, or maybe because I updated this week, and it looks different. But yeah, definitely, it's very easy and user-friendly, which I love. I need to go back to this question because I don't think we answered Patty enough. She says, her original question was, what's the importance of having a designated IP address? And she wasn't talking about domain names. She meant that the actual designated IP, and I believe it's for protection of the website.
Well, I'm not like a super,
we're not talking
person when it comes to IP address and stuff, but I think what she's talking about is like if you have, if you're doing shared hosting, that might cause, issues with website, loading, and sometimes your website can crash if another website is taking on too much traffic and it brings their server down. So I know I've heard people who complained about when they're using shared hosting that their website always crashes or has issues. Hello? Oh, sorry, there's like all these things popping up.
I love the joys of, okay, sorry, I lost you. Yeah, I was like just frozen there for a second. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this thing doing? So I don't know, I kind of lost the last thing you said there. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So what was the next one?
Okay, this is one thing that people don't sometimes think about, which is colors, and colors when it comes to branding and consistency. So if you don't know, like, hey, what kind of colors to use, there's websites like colorcombos.com. And it gives you a nice like color palette, like say like use blue, white, and yellow or something, or use like red, gray and black or something. And it gives you a nice color combo so you can see it all in conjunction. And what I recommend for people with colors is stick with 3 colors max. The reason I say that is usually you have like a background type color. It could be like white, where your content's going to be seen. Then you have like your main color. So in my case, it was like green, and then you might have, it was a white background, black was the main, and then green was my like accent color. So accent color, you use it sometimes for your call to action. Like if you really want some piece of content on your website to stand out, that would be your, like, I call it the call to action color or accent color, whatever you want to call it. So usually a 3 color combination works good. Anything more than that, it just kind of gets too visually, too busy.
Too busy. Yeah. And also fonts, like do not go crazy with the fonts. No more than 2 or 3 fonts. Like keep the titles the same and the text the same. Julie says, oh no, I have 4. Yeah, it's just too much. Your brain after 3 kind of like, you don't know what to look at, and it's always searching for like, what is the most important, what is the middle important, what's the least important. I suppose that's how you would explain it. So what would be another tip then? So how do we actually get it more visible?
4, so we and I would say if you do have 4, make sure that they're closely in hue. Like if you had a light green and maybe like a darker green, but they're still in the same family, then that's okay.
Yeah, she says black, white, red, turquoise. I would maybe lose the turquoise because black, white, and red works, or black, red. Yeah, I don't know. You have to figure it out. But yeah, the turquoise is one of those colors. It kind of it takes a lot, so you probably want that with one.
Okay, you were asking a question, but I was trying to answer.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, squirrel. What was I asking again? Go off topic. This is what's fun about Blab. We just kind of follow the feel of what the conversation is, right? Exactly. Oh, so okay, we've talked about SEO. We've talked about, for those who recently joined us, we've covered design, we've covered color, lots of plugins. So make sure you go back up and scroll up through all the comments. We've added a lot of links to some of Anthony's favorite tools, and a lot of them are free. Yay! We've covered security, we've covered SEO and design and color.
I think
so what would be another
we talked about themes, we talked about plugins, we talked about a lot of design. Let me review my notes real quick because like I said, I had a whole notes for you guys. Okay.
I was like, how far do we want to go with this? Okay, so let's talk about content. I think that's important. Okay, what to put on your website, because it's depending on the type of website you're designing. If you are a blog and you're regularly updating your website, obviously your blog posts are key. But what other content do you need on your website besides your about me page?
Usually the pages I like to make sure people have are obviously the home page, the about page, whatever their content is. So if it's a podcast or a blog, obviously, and then like a resources page works really great for affiliate marketing. Like, so if you're promoting products or services and affiliate products, a resources page works great. So also like books, right? And then obviously you have your contact page. And then if you have additional services like coaching or for me, like web design, right? So I have a services web design page. Usually those are like the main content pages that I have on the header and recommend for people. You don't want to have more than like 5 on your navigation because it just, like I said, it becomes too overwhelming and people like have analysis paralysis. Like, I don't know where to click. What do I do first? So
too many fly-ins, like things that pop-ins definitely do work. People you have a love-hate relationship, but they do work.
Oh, sorry. What I would say with the pop-ups,
what was your view on widgets?
Not annoy people is like maybe just pop up once during their visit for that day. You know, set it where it only visits, it only shows like once a day. If some people who have it on like every page and all the time, yeah, it gets really annoying. So, you know, think about your user too, like how their experience is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you want? If they're reading a blog post and they keep having this pop up come every 5 seconds, it's going to be super annoying because they can't read it. Maybe just at the bottom of the blog post works well, and on the landing page, I kind of like to overdo it. What is your theory on the widgets? Now, if you're looking at your website, so usually you'll have like content on the left, and the widgets is that section that you can put like follow me on Facebook.
Like people are becoming
do people actually bother reading that stuff there anymore?
They have their blinders on because they're so used to seeing people put a lot of ads and stuff like that, and so they kind of become blind to it. So I don't see too many people clicking through it. And I know that for a fact because I have that heat map analytics, right? But I will say is people see it. So they don't click, but they see it. So like I'll put I spoke at, podcast movement, or I was speaking at Podcast San Diego, or, I have a podcast, and people would mention it to me like, oh, you were, at podcast movement or whatever. But so they see it as like a visual element, but they don't always click on it. Not saying that don't put it there, but I'm just saying don't expect a high click-through rate on your sidebar as much, because like I said, people kind of they have their blinders on now.
Yeah, you're kind of like filtering out, and that's where you said the F letter is important. They read left to right and up to down, so whatever is important, they're going to go from left to right. Just to answer quickly, we got 2 questions from Stream Outdoors. You're asking us about Weebly. We're not really talking about Weebly, more about WordPress websites. And I think just to clarify, Weebly is like a free website that you want to upload, have a website that's not your own domain, but it's hosted through Weebly. It has its own issues, but we're not really talking about the tech on that. We're just really giving an overview of what you can do, no matter where you host your website, to make your website look good. So what were the other tips, Anthony?
Well, the other thing, like you were talking about content, what type of content should I create? I would say if you can focus down on one particular niche for your website, if you're a blogger, something like that, that really helps not only build your authority in a certain space, but it also helps with search engine optimization. So if you want to get ranked, let's say you are the expert in Facebook marketing. And if you blog and write a lot of great content around Facebook marketing, that will help you, be found when it comes to that particular topic. But I found that if you go too broad or you have too many different topics, it makes your life a lot harder to, get found when you're trying to blog for specific content. So I would say start small when you first start off. Once you build an audience, then you can kind of branch off and take on more stuff. Like once you become like the Facebook expert, and then you have you're ranked for a lot of Google searches for all that information. And then later on, if you want to branch off and say, okay, I'm now a social media marketer, not just a Facebook person. And then you already have a fan base that's going to read your content. So you can kind of like spread your wings, so to speak.
So definitely start with one, pick one, and kind of move your way into that. Because I know a lot of us are like, oh, shiny object syndrome. Oh, do this and do this and do this. It's hard. As much as we like to not put labels on people, we just do. As human beings, we want to identify someone. You are the expert in this, or you can help me with this. So would you say like being specific and specializing is important for websites? Like say someone who has a brand, okay? So like my thing is video marketing, but I also teach marketing strategies. So would you say, is it best to have separate websites for these things? Or
complementary, if they are related, then you can keep it within one site. But if they're completely different, then I would suggest you can do 2 different sites. Like I said, it builds your authority if you have a very consistent type of content. And like I said, it helps Google understand. Like I like to explain to people, like your website is like a book, right? And every single page or category of type of content is like a chapter of your book. So if your book is all about one particular topic, it makes sense. When you read it as a reader, you understand. As Google reads it, it understands. But if you're a book and all of a sudden you just have all kinds of information like an encyclopedia, it's like, what is this website about, right?
So kind of like that, and it always comes down to, I can harp on branding and client avatars all the time, but I know it's so important to understand who your client is, first of all. Like, example, my own website as well. I've had my website for 10 years, and it's gone through many Madonna makeover moments. And the reason why I always like to optimize it is I've been a photographer, I've been a coach, I've been a branding specialist, and now I've really found my groove with doing video marketing. So what I actually did is I stripped a whole lot of old stuff off. I don't know, I almost cried, but it's like 10 years old. If that stuff isn't relevant, would you agree? It's no point in having it out there if it's not on track where you are right now.
Reinvent myself, change my website many times, and it definitely helps when you're able to focus on what your area of specialty is. And I think some of the people who are commenting is like, you know who your audience is, right? You know who your particular person you're trying to target is super important. One of my mind shifts that I did over the past year was I said, well, I do website design, but what would be my ideal client, right? Who would be my best website design client? And I found that I really enjoyed doing podcast website design. So people who are podcasters and create their websites for them, I really enjoyed it because I'm a podcaster, so I understand what they're looking for. And I kind of like built relationships with the people in the community, so I enjoy working with that type of people. And so when I've actually positioned myself as that type of person, my business like tripled. It was amazing, because now I know exactly where to focus my attention. I know where to spend my time, what community I should be focusing on, what influencers I should be building relationships with in that industry or that niche. And so it really just helped us laser focus and then help me, accomplish more as well. Now, it doesn't mean I don't get inquiries for other type of projects. I get real estate agents and insurance agents and, small business owners, everything like that. But it's amazing when you focus, you just start to attract a large, single audience, but then people still come to you just because the fact that you're, experienced, yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's like they know what to identify you with, and it's funny. Like if you do one thing, like, oh well, if he or she does that, then surely she could help me with this. But you have to own something. You have to put your flag in the sand with something, and then decide to go with that. So some of the questions here. Comments, should we say? Jury mentioned, do you use Simple Podcast Press or Simple Live Press? No, I use Simple Live Press for my blog.
Simple Podcast Press is pretty cool. I think what it does is you have it's a podcast player. It has social share buttons, and it has the ability to put your email and opt-in form built into the podcast player, which is like, I've never seen anybody else that do that. So that's really cool. I think Honey Mora. Yeah, Honey Mora is the one who created it. He's a good guy. Simple Live Press. I can't remember what that was.
Well, I use Simple Live Press with Blab, and why I love it is because after today's Blab, I can guarantee you within 15 minutes after we finish recording that this Blab will be on my website as a blog post already there. It does all the automation for me, so I do not have to download from Blab and re-upload to YouTube. It's already embedded, and it keeps all the comments on the side, which is totally awesome because that's where a lot of the conversation happens, right? And I think he's still in beta phase. Part of us early adopters, we were using it just to kind of work things out. But so far, it's been awesome. It's totally sped up my workflow.
I can save a lot of time because having to upload and put all that content. It's just one simple.
Yeah, exactly. So any other tips and tools that we can mention before we round up? Oh, actually, before we do your last roundup, let me go there. We need to ask a question. Okay, so those who recently joined us here at Mimika TV, what makes it fun when you pay attention is that our guests kindly donate to our goodie giveaway. Now, we do this on every one of our shows, and the reason why it's fun is that by you paying attention and listening to the conversation, you can get in to win one of our, today's one is, let me go over the name again, the VIP pass to Traffic Generation All-Stars that Anthony hosted, which was a summit. So it's a lot of you said 20 interviews? 24 interviews, and it's worth $197. So we're going to give the opportunity to whoever can answer the question the quickest. Let me think. What is the question? I know this is always what stumps me. Is like it's got to be based on what we talked about, but it's got to be. Okay. So this is something we've mentioned a couple of times. What was the first thing that Anthony mentioned about how people? He calls it the what factor, that people read from left to right, up to down. What did he call that? It's like super easy, people. It's like a letter in the alphabet, someone has to be paying attention. We mentioned like it's in the form of a letter, but it's the factor that you use to determine how people will view your website. Because really, you explain it to us without mentioning the word yet.
The concept is.
Tell us, Anthony. Tell our
audience
again,
what the concept but basically the concept is you want to put your most important content on your website from the top down and the left from the left. So that's why this is a great strategy because anytime you're thinking about like where do I put on my navigation bar, what page do I put first, you want to put the most important page the farthest left, right? And then prioritize it. And then whatever you want people to see or read, you want to put it on a certain side of your website. And so if you visualize that, right, that's kind of a clue on what the letter is.
And a lot of us refer to this as like a swear word, but it's not really. Like, come on, people, get with the program. We got to know what that is. Patty says the about page. No, not quite the about page. It's a something factor that Anthony referred to a couple of times during the interview. And I know some of you have heard it, and when we give you the answer, you're going to want to probably kick yourselves. But I'll give you some time to think about it. Jury's like, hey, you got to know what it is. It's the letter of the alphabet factor. Like, pick one. You've got like 20 people. Jury says she really has a pass. Oh, well, boo-hoo, lady. I'm sure there's somebody we know that could we could give that to you because I think we need help. Okay, so let's give people something else to think about since no one else is getting the answer.
I'll at least give them the answer. So the answer was the F factor, right? F. Okay. So think of the letter F when you're designing your site. You're looking at the letter F.
X factor. Okay, so Patty, you were the closest. So I'll have to say, Patty, you were the closest. You said the X factor, which can be what it sounded like. And Julie, since you have the pass, let's give it to Patty. So congrats, Patty. You won. So how would you like Patty to get you?
She can reach out to me. She's also following me on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. So just hit me up, Patty. I'll get you up a VIP pass.
Awesome, congrats. That's why it pays to pay attention. We've got to be listening to people, but I know it's trying to come up with a question on the fly that will be easy enough for you guys to get. So there you go, you've learned something new. You're not going to forget about that. So I know we've covered a ton of content. We're almost close to the hour, but if we had to wrap it up and we had to put all those tips together, what would you say would be your takeaway for people to take
I think
away
with anything, even with website design or anything marketing related, it's super important to just really know who your client is, who you're trying to serve, and what you're offering to them, right? And know what you're all about, because that's going to really, in the end of the day, that's going to just drive everything. That's going to drive your design style. It's going to drive your design colors. It's going to drive what type of graphics you use on your website, and then what content you use. All of that other stuff is just nicely decorating and packaging what you're offering and what you're all about. So make sure that you have that very clear, who you're serving, what you do, and what makes you special.
Exactly. So simplicity is key. And I mean, I've seen very clean websites, white background, black text, and basically they identify their clients' problems right in the bat, and they get great conversions. Because we hear the word conversions all the time, like it's going to be some fancy, marketing term, but it basically means, do people take action? Do they click your stuff? So definitely, we've covered a ton of content. If you recently joined us, go and watch the replay. We covered a bunch of stuff, from everything from SEO, security, plugins, Anthony's tutorial or tips on what he recommends that you use, backups, all those kind of things. I need to go back and make some notes too, like looking at all these things. But I'm going to say that,
okay, yeah.
What is the best
you
way
guys can reach me at marketingaccesspass.com. I'm sure Mimika will put links somewhere, but you guys can reach me there anytime you email via contact form.
Yep.
Either me or my wife will be able to receive that, and we'll connect with you. So, and I just want to throw something out there because you guys are so awesome and you spent this hour listening to me and Mimika. I'm going to share with you guys, if you guys are interested, website design. If you guys need help, I'll give you guys a $200 off your website.
Ooh, so there you go. So yeah, make sure you mentioned you saw him on the Mimika TV for your special discount offer. That's why I pay attention. And it's totally awesome to get you help, especially even if you don't know what to do. Just having someone, another set of eyes, look at your stuff really helps, especially if you want to take it to the next level. So I've got to say to everyone, I appreciate you being online. Thanks for being part of our Mimika TV community. So if you want more great resources that I only share with my newsletter community, and you need some more video tips, because for those who don't know, I love to teach and help other entrepreneurs and experts use video. So like Anthony, this is his first time on Blab. So I hope that you got the notes from me, because in my emails, I did send you a setup guide, which would help you. So if you would also like some help starting using Blab or getting started with video, go to mimikacooney.com and grab my free video toolkit. It's a very easy PDF you can download, and some more great tools. Definitely tell your friends, subscribe to our channel, and join us here every Thursday. Tonight we made a special exception because Anthony is so busy. We had to put him in on an evening. But usually Mimika TV is Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to be part of the conversation, make sure to subscribe to the show. So go to mimikacooney.com, as in my name, and grab that freebie toolkit, and keep adding your comments. As I said, within a few minutes, if you go to my website, which mimikacooney.com/blog, this replay will be available. So go ahead and watch it there and add your comments. We'll be paying attention.
I think someone.
So anything else you want to mention to our audience
I want to
today?
make sure I ask your question, which was, what's the best tip for increasing web traffic? So,
there we go.
One tip that I would definitely suggest for all you guys is to build relationships with people in your space. So if you're a blogger, build relationships with other bloggers. If you're a podcaster, build other relationships with other podcasters. The reason why this is so important, you're like, well, what does it have to do with building an audience and website traffic, right? Think about it. If you have other people in the space that are sharing your content, it will be, shared all over social media. It will be shared on other people's shows or podcasts. And then if they link back to your website, that also helps boost SEO. But it all starts with relationships. Nobody's going to help you if you're not willing to help them. So make sure you offer value to people, build relationships, and everything else kind of magically happens.
Exactly, like Patty says, the power of the word of mouth. Yes, we live in the digital revolution, Pebble, and we still work online, but we still deal with people. It's all about relationships. And I know Jerry's the networking queen. She can give us some tips there as well. But for sure, definitely reach out. And things like your summit was a great way for you to connect with people. So if you want to get some more access to those great interviews, go to our Marketing Access Pass and you can grab that info. But I would say thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me, Anthony. I appreciate you making time for our Mimika TV audience, and congrats again to Patty for winning our goodie giveaway. And for everyone who's taken part, thanks, Julie, for all your awesome comments, and everyone else, Abdul, and who else we had there, Evan, Taxi, going through the comments here. We've had quite a few people popping their heads in here, so thanks so much.
Wow,
all the props too. See your little bubbles getting there. You're getting these popular little bubbles. Patty's going crazy. They're like, let's get him over 1,000. That would be so cool. It's kind of like, popularity contest between the clickers. I love it. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us at Mimika TV. Until the next time, take care.